I think my approach to American Studies has been different than probably the opposite of yours. I am not read in American Studies as a graduate student. I didn't study it. So I've had the benefit of seeing the ways in which it intersects with my own field. And that sort of is related to, I think, questions I sort of have about the material that you have presented. I'm very much interested in the influence or the impact these shifts in American Studies have on these other fields that are tangential to it, that rely on it so heavily. I know that within art history, American art was always seen as sort of the redheaded stepchild of the Western canon, always looking for terrain with which it can change the field or alter that field. And so as American Studies goes through its own crises of identity within its own field, I'm always struck with how difficult it is for art historians, particularly Americanists, to sort of grasp on to what it is you're doing, when typically it's the field, our American art history is clearly 10 years behind what it is, I think, what makes American Studies so exciting, being right on the cutting edge. And so all the questions I have about your talks today, both of you, are centered around how do we deal with these fields that rely so heavily, particularly a field like art history where it is the object that is so important, where hegemonic culture is an important functioning aspect of rarefying these objects and furthering the field. How then can we merge more effectively what's happening with the changes in American Studies and art history? And I actually was a reader for the American Encounters book in its early drafts and had many, many, many comments about what was going on in that text. But I think that that's something I think we all need to wrestle with. It's not just what American Studies is doing, but also the impact it's having on respective fields. I know here at UVA, American Studies was sort of born from the English department, and as we have grown as a program, we've looked to ways in which we can draw in and pull in other fields, other faculty to help it grow. I think that creates a crisis in what a program or department defines itself as American Studies, but it has an impact, I think, both ways, both on those outside ancillary fields and also the field itself. So that's sort of what I was thinking about and taking away from this morning's discussion.